are back on Inside MMA. As referenced earlier, the Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association has been pushing to organize fighters for years, headed by Rob Macy. Now, the association has gained some big names like Randy Couture and Ken Shamrock to help bring, well, some fame to this fight. Inside MMA legal correspondent Amy Dardashtian sat down with some of those names to get the details. The UFC has been sold to the WME-IMG Group in what is the largest transaction in professional sports history.
When you heard $4 billion was the sale price, what was your first thought?
When they sell the company for $4 billion and all the fighters in that same amount of time have only made less than 10% of that, there's something wrong with this equation.
That's why legendary fighter Randy Couture showed up to a Las Vegas boxing convention to give a speech, not on the agenda.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you all again.
Asking state commissioners to support new federal bill that would apply the Muhammad Ali boxing laws to combat sports.
I think expanding the Ali Act to encompass and incorporate mixed martial arts will go a long ways in helping us negotiate better contracts and get our fair share as fighters.
The latest lobbying effort by a growing group of fighters, the Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association. I sat down with just a few of the 60 in the group, legends Cung and Ken Shamrock, Bellator's Vinicius Quieroz, and active UFC fighters Kajan Johnson and Leslie Smith. A motley crew with a common goal: change the future of their sport.
We need to recognize that we have power collectively.
Smith is one of just a few active UFC fighters speaking out.
Everyone's been telling me not to speak up. People that are in the business, people that work for the company, they've been like, look, you said your bit, and if you want to stay with the company, be quiet.
What do you make of the fact that there are so few people who are presently fighting, willing to stand up for this cause?
They're not willing to risk it. It took me 13 years to get to the UFC. So I'm very, very invested in this.
Johnson says he was on the verge of being homeless despite signing a new deal with the UFC.
Not like I made 20 grand, I probably made about 14, you know what I mean? And that's gonna last me a year. That's below the poverty line.
And how many of the present fighters would you say your situation represents?
The majority. We're the majority.
Quieroz is a single dad living with friends.
My money don't pay even my rent.
They represent some of the poorest professional athletes in the world at the top of the nation's fastest growing sport. Most don't have health insurance. At the UFC, there is limited coverage.
I have a tumor on my stomach, but I don't have a way to get that fixed. I don't have a way to get that taken off because it's not a fight-related issue.
They are eager to get a voice at the table to push for benefits and weigh in on issues that affect their safety, like the UFC's new drug policy, which recently saw Brock Lesnar walk away with millions of dollars despite a positive drug test. What do you make of this disparity in the punishment?
Corruption. I mean, some dirty excuse my Vietnamese, but...
It was a tumultuous rise and fall for Lee and some of the UFC's biggest stars. Contract disputes, nasty court battles, bitter wars of words.
Ken Shamrock tried to sue us. He said that his contract, Ken Shamrock owes me $175,000. And I'm coming for it, Ken. I'm coming for the money, you piece of.
Would you say that you guys lost your battles?
Absolutely. But there's a war. So we may have lost the battle. But I think that with guys like myself and Randy and Cung, we want to keep this war going because to us, it's our legacy.
Dana White, the Fertittas, they've basically cashed out.
Yeah, it's not about them though. See, that's the big thing. But it's about equality for the fighters.
We don't know what kind of money is being made from a fight that I was in, so how am I supposed to negotiate fair market value?
Couture, a cage star turned Hollywood actor, says the Muhammad Ali Act can help. It requires promoters disclose earnings to fighters. It also gives fighters back their promotional rights after a year.
Just say we wanted to do something with our likeness as an MMA fighter. They wouldn't approve that.
The Ali Act would also seize the promotion's matchmaking power. And federal oversight threatens a business model that turned a $2 million investment into a $4 billion return in just 15 years, starting with a wildly successful reality show that ropes fighters into their dream jobs.
I was also on The Ultimate Fighter, which we are paid very, very little for.
Johnson says he got paid just $100 a day. Ken, you're smirking in the back.
When I hear all these stories, I laugh because The Ultimate Fighter to me was a joke, because what it was just hiding a way to find new talent that's just starting to bloom and get them under a contract before they have to pay them big.
Under the Ali Act, promoters cannot be managers. The law gives fighters grounds to sue. The UFC's lawyers and lobbyists vow to fight. Would you classify this as a David and Goliath type fight?
Absolutely. Massive amount of power and money against people that don't have any power or money.
It's a modern twist on a mythical story. This time, strongman against well-oiled machine.
It's time for the fighters to step up.
We are trying to do something to change the future.
Well, how do you make change? And it's by people stepping up and speaking.
Thank you very much, Amy. And by the way, we did reach out to the UFC for comment, but they chose not to make a comment at this time.